The Russian Sleep Experiment, Fact, Horror, or Hoax, Intro, Build Intrigue, Set Tone. What if I told you that one of the most famous horror stories on the internet, a tale of madness, science, and suffering, began not in the shadows of Hollywood, but in the depths of Soviet Russia? What if, buried deep within classified archives, there was a secret experiment so terrifying and so mysterious that it blurred the line between reality and nightmare and still haunts imaginations across the world? Tonight, we investigate the legend that refuses to die, the Russian sleep experiment. First intrigue: why do so many believe? Why has this story survived and thrived online, reappearing year after year in horror forums, creepypasta threads, and even news articles? Is there any truth hiding behind the whispers and digital distortion, or is it a modern myth tailor-made for the internet age? From its first appearance, the Russian sleep experiment seized the attention of a new generation hungry for chills. It is the kind of story that makes you question every official version of history you've ever read. But to understand where the legend ends and the real nightmare begins, we need to travel back in time, to a world on the edge of reason, where governments and scientists alike were willing to do almost anything in the name of progress, or control. Chapter 1, The Birth of a Legend. The legend begins with a promise. In the late 1940s, Russian researchers sealed 5 political prisoners inside an airtight chamber with the goal of testing an experimental sleep-inhibiting gas. Their orders? Keep the subjects awake for 15 days and observe the results. It's a setup that feels unsettlingly plausible. The Soviet Union's real history is filled with haunting tales of secret science, mind control research, psychic warfare, unethical psychiatry, and a willingness to treat human beings as objects for state power. Was such an experiment possible? Or simply the ultimate urban legend? According to the arch-popular internet version, the experiment quickly spirals out of control. The prisoners begin calm and hopeful, their conversations focused on promises of freedom if they cooperate. But as the days of sleeplessness drag on, the atmosphere inside the sealed room changes. Paranoia seeps in. Voices become sharp, then desperate, and then silent. Chapter 2, Madness in the Chamber. With each passing day, the story's darkness deepens. Shadows move behind the one-way glass. Coded messages are whispered into the researchers' logbooks. By day 5, the prisoners reportedly begin to show signs of acute paranoia. They stop speaking to each other and start whispering to the microphones instead, confessing secrets, promising obedience, and begging for the experiment to end. Then, unexpectedly, silence. The chamber falls eerily quiet. Some versions of the legend describe researchers tapping on the glass, begging for a response. Others mention heart-stopping moments when, suddenly, a scratchy voice answers, "We no longer wish to be freed." Why does this particular phrase send chills through every reader? Is it plausible that normal people, deprived of sleep and trapped in isolation, would abandon every instinct for survival? Or is there something deeper at work, a manipulation of the mind, perhaps triggered not just by science, but by fear itself? Rising tension, the doors open. What happens next is the crux of the legend, a scene engineered for maximum shock. Fearing for the test subjects' lives, the scientists open the chamber at midnight. What they find inside is the stuff of nightmares. The prisoners, once strangers, now appear transformed, beyond exhaustion, beyond pain, and beyond what should be possible for the human body. Some are claimed to be mutilated, eyes wild, bodies emaciated and torn. The gas, it is said, has stripped away not just their need for sleep, but their very humanity. But hey, raise the first big question: is this horror biologically possible? Can simple sleep deprivation turn people into something monstrous, or is this just a reflection of our deepest cultural fears? Chapter 3, The Haunting Power of a Myth. As the legend spread, it mutated, gathering new details and variations as each retelling fueled the fire. Some add a paranormal twist: the prisoners develop inhuman vocal powers, or supernatural resistance to pain. Others ground the story in medical realism, referencing true Soviet-era experiments with sleep deprivation, stress, and endurance. The Russian sleep experiment endures not because of its gory details, but because it feels possible. For decades, both the East and West committed shocking acts in the name of science, some well documented, others shrouded in sealed records and classified files. So where is the line between truth and myth? And why do real and imagined horrors often seem to overlap in the stories we tell ourselves? First, revelations, truth in the archive. In reality, Soviet science did push boundaries, sometimes tragically. From the psychological Pavlovian dog experiments to the state's use of punitive psychiatry, the USSR's scientific record is dark enough without the need for ghost stories. But has anyone ever found evidence of a sleep experiment anything like the one described on the internet? Researchers and skeptics have pored over medical archives, declassified documents, and memoirs, but the only source for the now famous tale appears to be the original creepypasta post, uploaded in 2010. Does this mean the whole thing is a lie? Or is it possible that real experiments, not exactly secret chambers, but certainly cruel, were quietly erased from official memory?